Very special guest. Now, normally on the show, I write an intro to get them hype, but in this case, we're just going to let him do that work for us. Take a listen.
This place has been kicked, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't. None of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that shit, so excuse my language. All right? Here's what I do know, is that this team is going to take on the identity of this city, all right? And this city's been down, and it found a way to get up, all right? It's found a way to overcome adversity, all right? And so this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. All right. That's going to be the mentality.
Okay, go. Forget stats. This is about biting kneecaps, swinging baseball bats, and that's facts. I couldn't have said it better myself. Without further ado, please welcome to the virtual breakfast table, Lions head coach, Mr. Dan Campbell.
Well,
what's up, Dan? How you doing?
Look, let me say this. I didn't realize that I had taken that many body parts until I just sat back and watched that right there that you guys showed me. So, listen, that was.
Yeah.
That was a lot more violent than I thought it was yesterday. But look, I am who I am.
I hear you on that, and we love it. Listen, kneecaps don't just fall off the bone. You got to have a bite to you. But seriously, though, all jokes aside, you are the 5th former Lions player to be named full-time head coach. You know the city well. I know the city well. You talked about it in your speech, talked about how this team will reflect the attitude of Detroit, which is powerful. But for those who aren't familiar with Detroit, tell them what it means to rep Motown.
Well, let me start here with it. I think there's a lot of similarities between New Orleans and Detroit. And being down there for 5 years, sometimes those cities get a bad rap. I know New Orleans got a bad rap, and man, some bad things happened down there, obviously, during the Katrina years. And, people often just think that it's just Bourbon Street. That's what New Orleans is as well. And it's the people, man. And I saw what the Saints did to give rebirth to that city. And those people just needed some hope, man. And the Saints kind of interjected that into that community, and man, it's thrived. And they are tied to the hip with us, man. They are every bit a part of them, because now. And I feel like Detroit is the same style city, same type of city, man. I think Detroit gets a bad rap. I think people think one thing when you hear Detroit. And look, I know I did when I was coming up as a player in 06. I remember I had this preconceived notion of what Detroit was. And man, when we got here, my wife and I were blown away by the people, the community, the spirit that it had here. And it was, you could tell they're just dying for winter, man. They're just dying for it. And you could, if you just give them one, they'll love you forever, and it'll unite a community. Yep. And so to me, this was bigger, believe it or not, it was bigger than just being a head coach for a football team. It's important. I want to win games. And that's the quickest way to give rebirth to a city. But man, it was kind of the totality of it, really.
It's insightful, and it's true, and it gets you fired up. So does what will always be known as the kneecap speech, Coach. And I have a question about it. I absolutely think that anybody who's played football at any level, even all the way down to high school, has heard speeches like that in their pregame speeches, and it's bang your head against the locker speech, and let's go out with our hair on fire speeches. I'm not sure the media, and certainly not social media, could totally relate to that. A lot of people can, though. Did that come out naturally, or going into that press conference, did you plan ahead of time that you wanted to have a rant like that? Where did it come from?
Yeah, well, I would say this. No, I was thinking about things, but more importantly, no offense to anybody else that's outside of this community, my message was for our players and for our community, for Motown. Like that to me was who I needed to reach. It wasn't about, no offense, everybody outside of this community. And, I'm trying to reach New York and Dallas and Los Angeles. That didn't mean anything to me. I knew that this was the community that I was speaking to. And I felt like, what do you give them something that I wanted them to have a piece of me, but I wanted them to know that, man, I get it. And I could sit up here. Everything that I said yesterday is no different than the coach that speaks exactly the way you should speak and say the things you should speak. Because at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses. So none of that matters. We still got to win. But I know this, man, this place needed hope. And I felt like I needed to give it to them. I need to give them something, man. And it's who I am. It's hard for me to read off a sheet of paper and just go through bullet points. And I speak from the heart. I've always been that way. I believe that way. I speak to players that way. When I got something to say, it usually is bubbling inside of me rather than I'm just going to write this down and blah, blah, blah. So that's just kind of who I am.
It was inspiring. It got everyone's attention. We're so happy to have you here on the show. Congratulations on the head coaching job. A quick question first. Have you ever dressed up as the Big Lebowski for Halloween?
No, I have not. By the way, the greatest scene, I was actually talking to Sheila Ford about this. All right. She's unbelievable. Sheila Ford Ham, right? Our owner. But she was laughing about it that somebody had put the dude on, the name tag. And I said, man, the greatest part of that film is when he's over the hill with the ashes. John Goodman is, and he's shaking the ashes and they blow back into the dude's face. Oh, it's so good.
Donnie! And then they hug it out. I mean, you sound just like.
I've been accused of looking like the dude before.
You look like a young Jeff Bridges, and you sound like him as well. Okay, let's talk about more of your press conference. What I liked hearing is that it's a passing league now, and you talked about your opponents. It's very interesting. You're already sizing up who else is in the North, and you called the Packers the standard of the division. What else have your evaluations been early here of the NFC North?
Well, look, here's what I do know. It's always been, there's a reason why it's a black and blue division, because, look, we're going to be fortunate enough to play in 9 indoor games. I guess that's right, 9, maybe 10, but to where we know we're going to be on turf. So that's a good thing, so you can kind of tool that way. But I know this, man, you got to go to Chicago, you got to go to Green Bay, and those aren't easy places to play. Especially in the winter up here. You start getting into November, December, and then playoffs January. And man, if you can't run the ball and you're not able to move people up front, and you're trying to throw a ball in a 30-mile-an-hour wind, you're gonna have a problem. And that's a reality. So I think there still needs to be this element of toughness. I do think you have to be able to run the ball. Look, at my core, of course, I believe in running the ball. I came from R.C. Slocum and Bill Parcells, and there's a certain way to play the game. However, when you're with Sean Payton for 5 years, which is another reason why I hooked back up with him, man, you learn a lot about the game. You learn a lot about the way this league is trended, the players that are coming out of college, the skill set that they have, and man, ultimately, it's really about putting the right guy in the right situation to have success, man. How do you put one of your best players on one of their weakest players? And look, I said this yesterday, but if you tell me we got to throw it 10 times in a row to open up the run game, or that's our best matchup, they can't stop it, and they're not doubling that player, they're not rolling the two, then let's do it, man. I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Dan, this is enlightening, it's inspiring, and we keep hearing the term rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. I also look at the roster, and we've got an 11-year NFL quarterback making $100 million. Can you still rebuild a team with Matthew Stafford as the quarterback, or does this have to be a total rebuild and start anew from scratch?
Well, it's a good question. So I'm about to give you a diversion. Brad Holmes, our GM, said it best. He called it a retool, which I really love. All right. And so you're like, yeah, rebuild. Retool. I like it. But listen, I don't want to get too deep into Matthew Stafford and the quarterback and how does this mesh? What do we do with this? Brad Holmes and myself are going to sit down this weekend. Look, we just signed. He's trying to get his staff together for the draft. I'm trying to build my coaching staff. And so, man, we're going to really dive into the roster this weekend, the two of us, and kind of see where do we go from there? What do we have here? What are the pieces? Who do we sign back? Who do we allow to move on? And so I feel like it's a little premature for me to answer it. I apologize.
It's a great diversion, Coach. You're getting this thing. It's great. You're going to work. We followed you over that way, and now we're back this way. And now we're going to move on to something else. Everyone who's followed your coaching career way back since you were a coaching intern with Miami, we know, Dan, that you're a huge Metallica guy. So let everybody know, everybody with the devil horns in the air, which Metallica album would you choose to best represent what this Detroit Lions team will be as the head coach?
Man, that's tough. The Metallica, the Black Album is probably dear to my heart. I say that would represent Detroit pretty well, really well, no question. But man, when you're talking about Master of Puppets or Injustice for All, those are pretty dang good too, man. So I hit you with 3. How about this? I think I might go with Master of Puppets. I think it's a little bit more of that style, you know?
You're saying a lot there.
It is. Then the defense will be known as Damage Incorporated, man. You just earned the devil horns from everybody across the country, and we are super fired up, aren't we, Nate?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Dan, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck, man. You are an awesome coach, and it's going to be a great season for the Lions.
Man, I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
No doubt.